Moms who know do less so they can focus on what matters most, taking care of themselves, their families, and living their God-given purpose. Moms who know are simplifying motherhood and focusing on the little things they can do that grow to have a huge impact. You are connecting with your family, your true self, and your purpose. You are a mom who knows. Hello and welcome to the Moms Who Know podcast. I'm your host, Chanel Nielsen, and today I am going to be sharing with you part of a project that we recently put together called the Purpose Project. This was an amazing 3-day event with over 30 presenters talking about their stories and how they came to find and live their purpose. Now, in this summit, they shared a lot of personal experiences that really led to each of them being able to live into what they're here for on this earth. And there was so much just good actionable tips on how to find your purpose, on how to live your purpose. And I feel like it's something that we all really need. If you don't have a purpose, if you don't know where you're going, then how are you ever going to get there? There's a famous quote that says, "Without vision, the people perish." And that's exactly it. Whether you're a mom staying at home with kids or a CEO of a company or a CEO mom, whatever the case may be, you need to have a vision. You need to have a purpose and an understanding of why you're doing what you're doing. And so for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be bringing you presentations from the Purpose Project. It was so hard to choose which ones to play in their entirety. But for today, I decided to share one called When You've Lost Your Peace with Stacy Christian. And the reason that I chose this one to share is because I think that her story is very relatable for moms because she is a mom, and the experience that she shared is an experience we find ourselves in sometimes with young kids, and just the feeling of overwhelm and the things that she was able to learn from her experience and the way that she grew from it, I think is really helpful and instructive for all of us. So before we get to the episode, I want to let you know that if you want to listen to the Purpose Project in its entirety with all 30 speakers, you can do that by purchasing the presentations over at momswhoknowpodcast.com/summit. You'll get all the details there, be able to see who all the speakers were, what they talked about, and get a really good feel for what the Purpose Project is all about. So let's get to this awesome presentation by Stacy Christian.
Hi, my name is Stacy Christian. I'm a holistic health coach, and I'm so excited to be here and part of the summit on finding your purpose. A lot of times when you are searching for your purpose, or sometimes even when you're not searching for anything at all, you might reach a point where you lose your peace. Now, if you've experienced this before, then you know exactly what I'm talking about, or if you're experiencing this currently. But if maybe you're not sure, a loss of peace comes when you're having an inner battle between your inside desires and your outside actions. When there is this disconnect between the two, you're going to feel it. You're going to know it. Now, this can be in just about any area of your life, whether it's your job, a relationship, your health, your faith. It could look like selling a product that you don't believe in, or being in a friendship that brings you down. It could be working a job when you feel the pull to be at home, or vice versa. It could be a very unsettling place to be. So this needs to be acknowledged and taken care of, or else it will catch up with you, and it can start manifesting itself both physically and mentally. All right, well, I wanted to share with you my story and to give you an example of how I lost my peace, how I gained it back, and I'm going to offer you 5 steps in working your way through this process for when you've lost your peace. Now, to begin with, I want to kind of give you a comparison of my life in the year 2014 compared to 2013. So in 2013, I was living in Hawaii, working as a photographer with my husband and my oldest daughter. It was literally a dream. It was like paradise in anybody's eyes. And then contrast that to 2014 when I gave birth to triplets. My oldest daughter was 2.5 at the time, so she was still little. We were right in the middle of a home renovation. Our kitchen was completely gutted the day that the babies came home from the NICU. So the outside was anything but peaceful, and then the inside was even more chaotic. A few months later, we would actually move our family from Hawaii to Alabama to the basement of my parents' home due to the fact that my husband was going on a deployment overseas for 9 months. So there I am. I've got 4 kids, ages 2 and under, a body that's still recovering from the triplet pregnancy. My abs were literally broken. I could not even do the most simple exercises. I started showing both physical and mental signs of anxiety and panic attacks, which were very new experiences for me and actually took about a year to get diagnosed. I had a long distance marriage that was difficult on not just the 2 of us, but also it was difficult on my daughter who missed her dad. On top of all that, I was working my way through a very personal and very significant faith crisis. It was one of the hardest things that I had ever gone through, and all of it happening in the basement of my parents' house, as opposed to the dreamy tropical island I had grown accustomed to for 6 years. It's safe to say that I lost my peace in more ways than one. I knew that I needed to be home with my children, taking care of them, but I missed working. I missed using that creative outlet. And, I felt guilty about the changes that had happened in our family for my oldest daughter. That was huge for her. She had a really hard time adjusting. As well as I felt really guilty for the triplets and for the lack of individualized time that they were going to get, even though they deserved it. I knew that the physical distance between my husband and I would definitely affect our relationship. I didn't know how extreme that would be. So you may have found your position in a place where you've lost your peace in one way or another, or in many ways, like I did. Now, it is my personality to find solutions. So I don't like sitting in discomfort when I know that there's something to be done. A life without peace is no way to live at all for anybody. I believe that every single person deserves to live a life with their inner peace intact. And that includes you. So if you've lost your peace, there's a good chance that you haven't found your true purpose yet. Which means that while losing your peace feels very defeating in the moment, it's actually a good thing. It's a great thing. Losing your peace is an invitation to have a change of course in your life to lead you towards what you were truly meant to do. An invitation that offers you more clarity. And when you're living with more clarity and more peace, do you know what follows? Is more happiness. So I want to help show you that by working your way through the discomfort, you can come out on the other side with peace in your purpose. All right, so I'm going to offer you 5 steps to take while you go through this process, as well as go deeper into my personal story and how I worked through it. Step number 1 is to identify the root cause. So what binging on food and sleeping longer than you might need to be looks like a lifestyle problem. If you dig a little bit deeper, maybe it could be that it stems from an unfulfilling relationship that you haven't really acknowledged yet. Or maybe you're unsatisfied in a relationship, but what's actually happening is that you aim to please others at the cost of losing yourself. Do you regret your decision to stay home with your kids? Maybe you see it as a career that you gave up, but when you dig, it's really the fact that you have a really hard child at home and you don't know how to handle that. Or maybe you were really meant to be in the workforce and to promote change and growth that way. As you might seem, it is not as simple as it might seem. This step is going to involve some digging and some brutal honesty with yourself. Because admitting that you're unhappy with yourself or unhappy with somebody else or unhappy with your career path or lack of career path or the way you were raised, it's hard. So where did you lose your peace? Why did you lose your peace? Ask yourself why over and over again until you reach your root cause. Okay, I didn't lose my peace due to the fact that I had triplets. I lost my peace because I realized that I was giving 100% of myself to my kids and didn't have anything left over for myself or my husband. I lost peace with my body, not because of the way it looked after triplets, because it wasn't anything what it looked like before the triplets. I lost my peace because of my loss of abilities that I had. I literally could not do a single sit-up after months of physical therapy. And that was really hard on me for someone who's been active my whole life. I lost peace with my faith, not because of a faith-challenging experience, but because I had developed a new perspective that no longer aligned with the things that I had previously believed. All right, step number 2 is going to be to create boundaries. Now that you've found that what your root cause is, the next step is going to create boundaries for yourself, because you are the leader of your life. You have control over how things play a part in your life. This is a very proactive step. It's a very empowering step. When setting the boundaries, you are saying that you matter. Your time matters. Your energy matters. Your peace matters. And it is up to you and only you to protect those things. Now, when you're setting your boundaries, there are a few things that I want you to remember. Number 1, you got to learn how to say no. This is hard for a lot of people, but you have to learn how to say no. This is going to help you protect your time. You have to be firm, and you have to establish your non-negotiables. You have to be clear and specific. You have to be mindful. So what I don't want you doing is to create a boundary to where you are now trading your peace for one thing for another. So maybe you say, I'm going to, exercise for an hour every day, and you're firm and you're non-negotiable, but maybe that time was your precious one-on-one time with your child that they're now missing out on. So you have to make sure that you are finding balance always when you are creating these boundaries, that you're not now affecting another area of your life in a negative way. And the last is to be prepared for the feedback and for the backlash that might happen from your boundaries, from other people, because it might happen. I had to set a few boundaries in my life in that year. I had to tell my oldest daughter no sometimes, and I had to not feel guilty about it. Once my shower started, there was no getting out until I was done, unless there was an emergency, obviously. But no amount of knocks on the door or requests for a snack or a TV show was going to get me out of the shower, because I had made up my mind. Now, that was something very simple, but that was something really relevant and important in my life at the time. I had to be firm in my early bedtime routine, because that protected my alone time that I get at night. I had to set boundaries with my husband, and we had to arrange times that we could talk so that he wasn't calling during dinner time or bathing time when it was kind of busy and inconvenient. And sometimes I had to tell him that it wasn't a good time to talk. I had to set personal boundaries with my faith, where I chose to no longer participate in the things that I was no longer comfortable with. And I had to not care about the judgments that were going to come my way because of those choices. If simply setting your boundaries offers you more peace, great. But if it's still not enough, then you can move on to step number 3, which is to seek and incorporate mindful practices into your daily life every single day. This is a step where you now try to find peace within your situation that you're already in. One thing I believe wholeheartedly in is that you have the power to change your mindset. You have the ability to control how you react in any given situation and how you perceive the world around you. And it's not something that you get just by wanting it. This is something that you have to work for and train for and practice. This is another very proactive step. So in an effort to find your peace, you have to incorporate practices that get you there. This is a step where you're going to start your mindfulness practices like meditation, journaling. It's going to be different for everybody. As you clear your mind, you can get more direction in where you're supposed to be going and what you're supposed to be doing, because now you are finding your inner peace. You're not going to have all of these distractions around you. it is time to turn inward, find a new perspective, and then actively incorporate those practices that promote peace. Again, this is going to be different for everybody, but for me in that year, this looked like taking a longer shower, because that was when I got my quiet time. Taking a walk outside. Journaling is a great one, but I actually emailed my husband a lot, and that was a way for me to kind of get my thoughts out, and also to connect with him. I started learning about meditation. I didn't fully incorporate that daily until a little bit later, but it was something that I started with. And then my very favorite thing that I did was photography. So photography was a way for me to see my situation for the very precious, quickly passing time that infancy and babyhood is. I had 3 babies. Time was going by so fast. And photography was a way for me to stop those moments, to recognize those moments, to see the precious thing that it was, and also to be able to share those pictures with my husband so that he could see our children grow through those photos. And I found so much peace in that perspective that it gave me so much more purpose for what I was doing while feeling like I was in the trenches. Now, these might seem like short-term answers for your peace, but the idea is to get your mind in a place where you are open to new ideas and to where you can see your situation a little bit differently. And, can you find peace in your situation that you're in right now? Can you, distance yourself from the over-emotional reactivity that you have in your stressful times? Are you able to truly evaluate if your situation is manageable as it is and all you need is a simple mindset shift? If it is, that's amazing. All right. If it's still not enough, then you might have to go on to step number 4, which is to reach out for help. Now, you are doing yourself a disservice if you think that getting help is not worth your time, because there are thousands of resources that are at your fingertips ready for you. You can hire a coach, you can join a Facebook group, or you can find help from someone who will never even know that you exist. I guarantee you that there are people out there on the internet who have gone through the exact same thing as you're going through right now. And they have shared their stories, they have advice to give, they have ideas to share, and you just have to go find them. So find your mentor, find your community, find your support. Get the help. Now, this is not to say that you should be looking for someone to tell you what to do. This is to find someone who understands the situation that you're in and to offer support and help you navigate your way through the situation, because only you know what's going on inside of here. Now, I realize that you might not know me very well, but something that you should know about me is that I actually pride myself in doing things by myself. I don't ask for help a lot. I have a hard time asking for help. And so what I was doing at the time was joining these Facebook groups and then stalking them and searching for the answers that were already in there instead of just speaking up and asking for help. I could have saved myself a lot of time had I just asked for help instead of search. I was part of a triplet moms group on Facebook that was amazing in helping me figure out time management tips, sleep training, all the things that happen when you have triplets, because all of our babies were born in the same year. But also things for, my body recovery and my mental health. And they were just a huge help for me during that year. I also found stories of other people who had gone through a similar faith crisis that I was going through. And the simple idea of them sharing their story online gave me so much peace and so much comfort in knowing that I was not alone. I was not, the only person who had gone through this. And I was so grateful for their courage to speak up because it brought me closer to my peace. I had hands-on help as well. I had my parents living in the same house and my grandmother. I also had a woman who came once a week to help get the babies to bed and to help clean up the place. And the help that I received from them was instrumental in my peace. So I could not have done it without them. So don't be afraid to ask for outside help. it might be your answer. And if it is, then that's great. And I'm really glad that that can help you. But if it's not, now you're going to have to go on to step number 5. And as my friend Ross says, it's time to pivot. Now, if you've identified your root cause, you've set your boundaries, you've actively incorporated your peaceful practices, you've searched and reached out for help, and you're still not there, it is time to make a change. And if you've done all of those things and you haven't gotten what you're looking for, this change might be a big change. And change is really hard and scary. In fact, I think that change is probably the hardest part in this whole life experience, is going into the unknown and not knowing what you're going to get. However, for you, you should know that this is a good change, because this is going to bring you closer to your peace, and it is going to propel you towards your purpose. So please remember that as you are navigating this. If you've done the inner work, then you know what change you have to make. You already know the answer. Nobody has to tell you. The hard part is digging up the courage to actually do it. But friend, let me tell you one thing. When you take steps towards earning back your peace, you're not going to regret it. In fact, you should be really, really proud of yourself for honoring yourself enough to make those changes. If you want to know how my story turned out, I'm going to give you a quick recap on the things that I did change, the things I didn't change, and kind of what came of us. So I survived the first year of triplets. I actually ended up getting surgery on my stomach because after months of physical therapy, I had hardly any progress towards helping my muscles get back together. And that was a hard decision for me because I kind of had never expected to be getting surgery on something like that, but I had lost peace with my body and I was unable to do the things that I wanted to do. And so luckily I had help to help me get through that and to recover. I ended up leaving the religion that I had grown up with and that had played a role in just about every single aspect of my life. And it was hard. And you know what? Whenever I talk to somebody about it and they ask why I left, you know what the answer I give is, I lost my peace with it. And you know what? They get it. They understand, because I think everybody kind of has those experiences where you lose your peace with something and you can't keep going. My husband got back from deployment and we ended up reaching out to a friend who was a therapist and then going on a couples retreat, a therapy weekend, which was really amazing for us to kind of do right when he got back to kind of get us on track for reintegrating our lives. We went through with a move across the world to Singapore for 3 years, and it turned out to be the best years of our life. We were able to immerse ourselves in a different culture and travel. Yes, even with all of the little tiny children. And it was amazing when the easier thing would have been to stay closer to home, stay closer to help. I followed what was bursting inside of me, and that was to go do something new. With my health challenges, with the anxiety, I struggled with that for a while and I didn't know what was happening. But by doing a lot of research and then by making some lifestyle changes, that actually led me on a path to go back to school to become a health coach and then to empower other people to take back control of their health and to take steps to help themselves. That year of my life taught me how to find peace on a day-to-day basis and to find purpose in the day-to-day. Those lessons that I learned back then have carried over into my life, even now to today. Now, you don't have to live in a way that doesn't feel right to you. You don't deserve that. When you feel called to do something, chase after it. Don't bury it, because when your true purpose is bubbling inside of you, you are actually protecting your peace by chasing it. I hope that you find the courage to do what is necessary to take back your peace. You deserve it, you're worth it, and you can do it. So thanks for spending some time with me. I hope that I've been able to help in some way and that my story has inspired you to be able to make changes in your life to take back your peace. Thanks.
I hope you guys learned a lot from that episode. I would love to know what one little thing stood out to you. What are you going to take action on? What are you going to do because of what you've heard? Come on over to Instagram at Moms Who Know Podcast and let me know. And if you are interested in getting the full summit and having access to all 30 of these presentations, go to momswhoknowpodcast.com/summit where you can purchase and listen to all of these presentations. It is life-changing to really hone in on your purpose, and that is exactly what this summit will help you to do. So go over there and check that out, and we will see you next time on Moms Who Know.